I know a lot of people here probably also heard you interviewed today on NPR.
I hope. I'm happy to hear that.
I actually flew in from Seattle, heard the interview in the car, and showed up here tonight, so
amazing.
There you have it. But I was curious about the whole improv piece of it. In other words, I think you said that you work from an outline, not really a script, but I would imagine, because you would shoot forever if you didn't do this, you still have to have things that have to happen, right? Because if you let people not only improv your ideas, but just then start really riffing on, well, what if he's a superhero? You know, it would just go on for it. So how do you kind of have this controlled chaos, I guess?
Well, yeah, it depends on the production. Like on Happy Christmas, there was, I think, a 16-page outline that we were working from. And it's pretty close to the finished movie. I mean, it definitely has the shape of the finished thing. I have done movies where we're starting from nothing, and you know, one of those movies took 2.5 years to make, on and off. You know, so I am also interested in that, but like with working with Anna Kendrick and Melanie and some of these actors. I just can't get them for 2.5 years whenever I want. Not yet. Terrence Malick can get them for 2.5 years whenever he wants. But so it's sort of just this, the means of the production and the actors that I'm working with have gone a long way into shaping how the movies are made these days. So they do have to be a little more planned out ahead of time. But I let them, I'm working this way because I want the actors to own their characters as much as possible, and it's sort of the method that I've landed on that allows all of these different viewpoints into the movie rather than me writing a script and having the actors sort of be mouthpieces for my various ideas. It's really a way to invite them in as co-writers and collaborators in that way.
We're back here. Awesome movie, we loved it.
Oh, thank you.
Sorry.
You don't have to stand up. We don't have to do that.
I'll sit back down. For the cast, did you write it, and even having been in the movie, did you have people in mind that you wanted to act, or did you just cast afterwards after it was all written?
I did sort of have people in mind, which is how I typically work. Anna was in Drinking Buddies, which we shot in July of that year, and then we shot this in December. So coming off of making Drinking Buddies, I just really had a good time working with her and wanted. She's like usually cast as these pretty uptight characters, and she's been really good playing that type of character. But I wanted to let her off the hook a little bit, and my experience of her as a person was she was just much more loose and funny and kind of free flowing. So. It was fun to sort of give her a role where she could be a little reckless. And then Melanie was somebody who I met through the casting process of Drinking Buddies and didn't cast in that movie, but I started talking to her almost right away about trying to figure out something else to do together. And Mark Webber is a director also and an actor. And that was a nice coincidence where I was talking to him about trying to figure out a movie to do together, and then I asked Anna, because she was going to have some make-out scenes and some more intimate stuff with him, who she was like comfortable with and wanted to work with, and she brought his name up, and I was like, oh, perfect, we're already talking. So that was easy. And they had done Scott Pilgrim together, which is how they knew each other. And then Lena's an old friend of mine. I've known Lena for probably like 8 years at this point. Since she was in film school, she started emailing me. My wife and I did a web series called Young American Bodies that Lena was a fan of. So I've been corresponding with her for a long time. And I've acted in, she did a web series that I acted in, and I've been trying to get her in something for a while. So this was just the timing finally worked out.
Hi, I really enjoyed the movie. I really enjoyed seeing Chicago in it, so I was wondering if you could talk about filming in Chicago, if you plan to continue to film in Chicago.
Yeah, I'm gonna try. I mean, it's a lot, I live here, so it's a lot easier for me to make a be here than to try and go sleep on a friend's couch for a month somewhere else. And, yeah, it's really, this one was shot mostly around Andersonville and Lincoln Square, and I mean, we had a really small, actually this would be a nice moment. You know, there was only a 5-person crew on this movie. A lot of them are here. If you guys could stand up, I want a round of applause for the it was real bare bones. I mean, we were really tiny. You know, the whole production fit in a minivan, and we just drove around and you know, filmed in friends' apartments. A lot of them are here. A lot of the people in the party scene are here. So, you know, I mean, we were just utilizing all the sort of resources we could. I think Chicago is beautiful, and especially in the winter, it was nice to actually get out and shoot. And the winter of 2012, when we shot, you can see there's no snow. So it was cold, but it wasn't nearly as bad as it has been this winter. So we caught a little bit of a break.
What's it like directing a 2-year-old?
I didn't dare try to direct him. We sort of built all those scenes around just allowing Jude to play. And we spent, you know, I feel like we spent a lot of time letting him get comfortable with the crew, and Jesse, the sound guy, let him put on the headphones and turn the knobs on the sound kit, and you know, he got to look through the camera and sort of play around with all the gear. And so, you know, by the time we were really shooting with him, you know, he's just familiar with everybody, and we shot in our house, which made it nice. You know, I mean, I asked him, like, do you remember shooting a movie? He has no recollection. But when we took him to Sundance, and when he was talking to himself in the movie, but he was very critical. The scene with the Cheerios, he was sitting, we stuck him in the very back of the theater in the back corner seat in case he was too loud. We could like quickly whisk him out of there. But he was sitting there, he was like, "That's how a baby do it." You're only 1 year older. You're not like, get off your high horse, man. He was just like looking at himself a year ago, and he was just so disgusted. It was captured on film. I would eat with a spoon now. So yeah, it'll be funny to show him the movie as the years go on. That how a baby do it.
Hi, just want to say first I love the film, and as an aspiring amateur filmmaker, it's very inspiring, the film and your whole career. And I just wanted to ask, in the years you've been making films, starting from very small, low-budget films, and now having more budgets and bigger stars, and going from non-actors and people who aren't really actors to someone like Anna Kendrick, how has your process kind of morphed? How does it stay the same? And what have you learned from like the last 8 or 10 years or so that you've been making films?
I've tried to keep the process mostly the same. I mean, I think a lot of the things that I've learned have been in terms of storytelling, trying to figure out how to be more of a storyteller, embrace a lot of film language that I mean, I came out of film school with the attitude of just wanting to like throw away everything I learned and basically like make amateur movies, or you know, sort of like just trying to reinvent the whole process of making movies. And you know, and the more that I've done it, the more that I've sort of gone back to classic film language, and you know, I mean, sort of pushing all that stuff away. It's like you know, a warm blanket when you kind of like snuggle back into it, and you're just like, oh yeah, a lot of people smarter than me spent 100 years figuring this stuff out. There's good reasons why you shoot from these angles, and you know, why you choose these moments to edit and things like that. So that's been kind of fun to sort of like, I mean, you know, I spent a lot of last year when I was traveling around with drinking buddies talking about how it was my first movie, even though it was just like my 15th movie, just because it's, you know, it's the first thing I had made where I really made a proper movie with a crew and more of a script, and you know, just like all these sort of production techniques that I learned in film school. And so, you know, Happy Christmas was almost an unlearning process again after Drinking Buddies, which to me felt massive. It was a pretty small movie, but you know, there was like a 30-person crew and just, you know, all of these moving parts. And so Happy Christmas was a chance to go back to like 5 people and a few actors, and just to see, you know, if the lessons from Drinking Buddies had rubbed off in a way that I could apply to the smaller things. And I think I'll bounce back and forth. I mean, I'm interested in doing some bigger things. When I say bigger, I don't mean that much bigger. But I'm also interested in continuing to make $10,000 movies with my friends, you know, in my house or whatever. So I'll try both. We'll see.